Now we will get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for attending our monthly Conversation Cafe. My name is Rachel Whitbeck. I'm the Sustainability Assistant here at MUSC Sustainability. And this month's Conversation Cafe is on the Charleston Area Regional Transportation Authority, or CARTA. The mission for MUSC Sustainability is to build healthy communities by inspiring and implementing solutions to environmental, social, and economic challenges. So our initiatives include food, which we'll be discussing next month actually, and energy and water, recycling and compost, green building, transportation, which is today's topic, and climate and resilience. To hear about the events such as this one or anything else that we are advertising, you're welcome to sign up for our newsletter at musc.edu/green. You can follow us on social media at MUSC Go Green on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And then on our MUSC internal platform, Yammer, we are Broadcast Sustainability. So you're welcome to follow us on all these, and I will be sending the links in the chat once I exit this presentation. So looking forward, next month, like I said, we will have a topic of sustainable nutrition. The date for that is tentatively October 20th, but you'll see us promoting it in the newsletter or on our social media. So we just ask that you follow that to stay updated. And for today's installment on CARTA, we have our guest speaker, Michelle Emerson. Michelle is the Marketing and Communications Manager at Berkeley, Charleston, Dorchester Council of Governments, and CARTA, Charleston Area Regional Transportation Authority. So I will turn it over to Michelle now.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. Okay, guys, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you guys, as always, for having me. You know that we try to make it to you guys at least once a quarter or so, just to kind of provide some updates and to get some information from you guys. And it's a way where we can, it used to be a way where we could talk to you in person. And as Rachel and I was just discussing before we started everything, you know, we had hoped by this time this year we would be able to be back in person with you guys, but unfortunately we are still fighting through, you know, this pandemic and this crisis. So we are adjusting and being as flexible as possible. But hopefully in the very near future we will be able to be back in person, because we do know that it being there, being able to talk to you face to face, provides a lot more information and a lot better engagement with you guys. But nonetheless, we will move forward with what we have. And so we've got, as always, we've got some updates to give you. I am by myself outside of our PR folks that we have on the line as well. But our transportation planner and LCRT outreach coordinator, they are all in other meetings, but that's okay because we didn't have a huge update for them anyway. So without further ado, I know that you guys are in your lunch. So I want to quickly kind of run through some updates that we have for CARTA service in general. And then we can have a few minutes at the end to talk about a few things if you guys have anything else to add to it. So the updates that we'll be going over today very quickly, COVID related updates, bridge run, that's just some service information, LCRT sign and signage, touch on for a second, any route changes, program CARTA on demand. I believe I talked to you guys about that at our last one. I don't know. I don't think we went very far that much in depth into it, but we've had some changes since then. And Low Country Go van pool. And again, at the end, we will go to any comments, questions that you may have that if I don't cover it in the updates. So for COVID, very quickly, it's just a reminder that we are continuing to do the same protocol that we have done in the past since this has all begun. Our buses are still being cleaned with the solutions that they were from the very beginning. Nothing has changed. We do know that our ridership is ticking up, and so we are monitoring how our loads are on express buses and our regular route buses as well. If you see anything that's in particular, or if it's something that's out of order, please don't hesitate to let us know. We know that we can do stuff, as I've said in the past, in the beginning and at the end of the day, but in the middle is where sometimes We can't get to everything. And so if you see anything or if there's any issues, feel free to let us know. And I have a reminder at the end of this presentation just to remind you guys to please let us know directly. You can call our customer service number and I'll provide that number to you again as well. You can also go to the fantastic folks at Sustainability, Christine or Rachel, and let them know, or you can directly contact one of the members of the CARTA team as well. But again, if you see anything, let us know. But all that's the same. Our face masks or face covering, of course, has been extended, I believe, until January. And so we put new notifications up. I have been getting reports that that all of our transit riders and passengers have been, for the most part, very understanding and very cooperative. Of course, we always get a few that may not necessarily be that way, but for the most part, everything has gone well with that. So fingers crossed we continue with doing that and understanding. We still provide masks for folks to put on if they don't have them, because we do know other places may not necessarily have those same mandates going on. But that is something that is continuing. And again, we are monitoring the loads. At this point, I know we may have had almost a couple of full buses as far as express service, but nothing on a regular continuous basis. But we are looking into, again, monitoring everything. The next is an update as far as Bridge Run. This is just a quick reminder. We always put stuff up on the website, information, and we also always do some posts on social media just to remind you guys. It's a little different this year, of course, with it being in the fall, but that you can expect some potential delays in service, probably starting today, moving forward, just depends. In the north area, we know between, I believe, tomorrow and Friday, especially around the Tanger outlet area. So I know that that may impact Express 3, and even if it's on 26, it's going to affect just about everybody. So expect some delays depending on higher traffic volumes. Again, this is the first year that we're back to doing this since the pandemic and missing it before. So we'll see how the crowds are, but expect some of those potential delays. And of course, we have the detours and information that will be happening on Saturday on our website. I know that does if you guys, because I know most of you guys are using express services, but that information is put up on the website. And let me know if you have any questions about that as we move on through everything else. For LCRT, I don't really have an update outside of the last conversation cafe that we had. I believe Sharon Hollis, the project manager, she came in and she presented a lot of information as far as where we have been, where we are right now, and what we are in the process of doing. So our information has been submitted and it is under review. And the next time we will probably have any type of real extensive updates will be early in 2022, late, I'd say spring, somewhere in that area, by the time we can actually have more information and potentially have some additional public meetings and just to share information and get information. I've got signage on here just as a mention. Just wanted to let you guys know that that is one of the projects that we are working on, where we are putting digital signs out. We're determining which stops where they're very heavily used or transfer points, and those digital signs will provide some real-time information and some additional information as well. We've got some that are already out, but we're working with a little bit more extensive that will actually show different times, again, at transfer points. It'll show different routes and whatnot. So I'll have more information on that for you guys coming up at our next meeting as well. One thing that I did forget to add to that, number 3, just as far as like general updates, is we are also getting in more electric buses. I believe we've gotten an additional 3 into our fleet, and I think we're expecting another 4 or 5 before the end of the year. So you'll see those out on the streets as well. And everything is going really good with those, and still working on getting charging stations and everything else in line, so that as we continue to grow that fleet in that direction, that we'll be able to sustain that. So we're really happy and pleased with that, and working very diligently on it. On to route changes. The only route change that we have right now is for Route 32. This will go into effect on 10/3 on October 3rd, Sunday. And it's actually a great addition, where we're increasing the frequency and we're providing safe bridge crossings for the North Bridge or Cosgrove Bridge, as some folks may know it. So starting on Sunday, that route will now run, and I apologize, that's actually supposed to say Monday through Saturday, but it will run every 30 minutes Monday through Saturday, and then it will run hourly on Sunday. So the policy change is one of the big things to come out of this announcement, outside of the fact that we are increasing frequency on that route. And just for a second, that route is really important because we do know that there isn't, I believe there's still some employees that are over there off of Cosgrove for MUSC. And again, there's also folks that live in that West Ashley area, but that is the great connection between West Ashley and North Charleston. So that bridge is a very important piece of that. So increasing the frequency is a huge thing for that. The policy changes is the other big thing to come out of this route change. Pedestrians will now be able to ride for free onto either side of the bridge. Just to give you, if you weren't aware, we have for years now, we've allowed bicyclists to put their bikes on the bike racks and then hop on board, and we'll take them across the bridge because this bridge is so unsafe to cross, whether you're a biker or a walker. And so that's been the policy for a while now. And so now we are just expanding it basically. And now we're adding that anybody, pedestrians that are walking along that area, that they please, get on the bus and we'll take them across. There's 4 stops that they have to use. There's 2 on either side of the bridge. And so the bus will pick them up and then they can get off at that very next stop. To further extend that, cyclists, we are now allowing bikes to be on board the bus just for that particular crossing. Currently, bikes are not allowed inside our buses because it is a safety hazard, but we have to kind of weigh which is the most hazardous, and biking across that bridge is much more hazardous than what it would be as far as in the safety hazard being in the bus. It's a very short distance that we're just going right across the bridge. So that should align for a little bit more safe crossings for that bridge. And they will be allowed on the bus as long as space permits at that point. So again, we're very excited about that. We'll have some signs going up, and we'll be pushing some more information out to the public, just to really, again, re-emphasize that that's a great thing for the community, and we're happy and pleased to be able to do that. So next up, wanted to touch base really quickly on CARTA on Demand. I know this is a program that I brought to you guys' attention in the past, but we've had some changes again since the last time I spoke to you guys. I believe when I originally was talking to you guys, this was just on the peninsula. This was a program where CARTA has partnered with Uber and UServe. And those of you who are not familiar with UServe is a company very similar to Uber. They are just trained to be able to deal with ADA clients. So we've partnered with them to provide service for seniors 55 and older and current Telluride customers, and they provide rides on demand the same way that they normally do, and we pay a portion of the cost. And the customer pays the first $4. Specifically in the downtown area, any customers, patients that are in that area, they simply pay $4 and CARTA pays the remaining amount of it. It's really just that simple. If they are Telluride customers, they are automatically already approved to be able to use the service. If they are seniors 55 and older, there is a very short application that we have them fill out. Again, since I've talked to you last, we've expanded that. So it's not just in the downtown or on the peninsula. It is actually pretty much the full CARTA service area. And so we've included more institutions all up in North Charleston, West Ashley. That means we've expanded where we can pick people up from as well. So anybody living in the CARTA service area, we do have a map on our website, and I can give you the link to make sure you can get directly there. And it shows the entire service area where we are providing the service. So Telluride is not going away. This is in conjunction with Telluride. The difference between this and Telluride is Telluride, you usually have to make at least a 24-hour in advance reservation to get service. And also Telluride, you can go anywhere pretty much in the CARTA service area. You can go grocery shopping, you can go to a friend's birthday party, you can go to medical appointments, wherever. Telluride can take you there. The difference with on demand is number one, you don't have to make the 24-hour advance notice. You can go on your phone once we send you a voucher and you actually activate it. You can go to your phone the same way you'd normally request an Uber, and it will automatically take you, and you're going to a medical appointment, it will automatically charge you the $4 and we pay the remaining amount of it. And it will come within the same amount of time that Uber normally comes. So 5-10 minutes, less than 30 minutes most of the time. And UServe is the same way. The only difference between Uber and UServe is that Uber is a app based and UServe is phone based. So we have a lot of customers that we've been talking to, a lot of older clientele who are not very tech savvy. And so they're not as familiar with using Uber and having the app. So they're requesting, or they're choosing to use UServe. And so they basically call them up and again, tell them where they're going as far as medical appointment, medical facility. And then they will be picked up, same thing, charge $4 and we pay the remaining amount of it. One of the reasons I want to make sure that you guys are very much aware of this, and if you have any questions, is because we are hoping that a lot of our groups that we talk to on a regular basis and provide information and get information from you guys, from our ambassadors to our rider advisory committee, all of you guys, especially in the medical field, you guys know more than we do as far as who are the folks who are in desperate need or in need of services like this. You guys know those patients who aren't able to follow up because they can't get a ride or they can't afford a ride or any of those types of issues. So we are asking for your help as far as any contact information. Now, of course, we've given this information. I know we've got ads around on all of your digital platforms on your campus in the downtown area. But even a little bit further or deeper into that, into specific treatment areas, managers or administrative staff that are in the individual areas, we just want to make sure that they're informed about it, so that if something arises and they have a patient that this is really good for, or this would really help them out, then we want to make sure that they have that information and can share that information. So please let me know if there's anything that I can do, or if you have any specific contacts that we can send this information to. We'd be happy to come out or do a Zoom meeting and actually kind of go into any of the details, do a walkthrough with staff, because again, we do know that you guys are going to be talking to the clients that need it the most. And again, this is for all of you guys as well, 55 and older. We have very young seniors, but again, this is just going to medical appointments for right now. Hopefully we will expand that to other things in the very near future, but it is a vital thing. And we think that a lot of people have been asking for us to be able to partner with Uber or these types of services. And so this is our first step into this. So the more successful this is, hopefully we can expand this type of service into all of our service areas. So again, let me know if you have any questions on that, and we'd be happy to give you any other information. This is just a tad bit more information as far as details. Again, it's $4 each way. That's the same cost that it would be if they were using Teleride. They can go to designated service area medical facilities, which are all the major institutions, and the service can be used Monday through Friday. And we also extended the hours that it could be used, and it now can be used from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I believe that you can even call the CARTA on-demand call center. It begins taking calls about 6 or 6:30, I believe. So they can actually call a little bit earlier than 7 o'clock if they got to be someplace at 7 at that point. So again, any questions that you may have. Oh, and one last thing, if any of your clients are wheelchair, they need that wheelchair accessibility, UServe is the client that they are, is the service they'd have to go with, because Uber doesn't provide that wheelchair access, but UServe vehicles do. So quickly moving on, Vanpool, again, this is another program that I kind of touched on before, but wanted to provide a little bit more information. You guys may have heard of Low Country Go in the past. We launched that program a few years ago, and it is basically a program promoting alternative forms of transportation, improving sustainability in our communities, and improving our communities as a whole. And a nice part of that is your commute. And so in the past, we've got everything kind of set up. This is the Vanpool portion of it. We were recommending or trying to help folks if they wanted to start carpools, if they were thinking about school pools and those types of things. And we've been providing information, but now we've moved on into getting actual Vanpools. We actually have about 11 vehicles on site, and so they are ready to be leased out. There's a few ways that people can be involved. Employers can be involved, and we can meet with them and find out what it is that they're actually looking for, and we can provide information to everyone on their campus at that point. But individuals can do this as well. It doesn't, it doesn't take per se MUSC being involved and actually saying, that this is the van that you will use. Individuals can sign up themselves, and we can go, as I'm going through the slides, you'll see what the parameters are for that. So what most of you guys, as far as like, what is a van pool? Basically, it's just a carpool, a larger form of a carpool. The biggest difference is that we provide the van, and so that means that you guys aren't using your vehicles. One of the reasons that I want to make sure that you guys knew about this is because we do know that there are still groups of people who are very far from where our express service, or they're outside of the Charleston County area. And so they're having to drive in a good bit and may even have transportation issues there. This is a service that if enough folks that live in the same area and work in that MUSC area, then they can actually take part in that. For those folks that getting to one of our transit stops is a little bit too hard to do. So right now, the minimum is 4 passengers on either one. As a slide in the back that says that'll be coming up where I'll be talking about COVID, and we've actually cut the capacity in about half to make sure that we are making sure that folks can space out a little bit. But it's usually from 4 to 15 passengers. It usually operates anytime between Monday through Sunday. And so we are also trying to find some flexible ways, because we do, or we're understanding that some folks are doing a mix of some working in the office and some working at home throughout the week. So we're also looking in the ways that we can be flexible with that as well. And then again, traveling between 1 or 2 common pickup points, so that someone in the neighborhood or in a couple of neighborhoods that are very near each other, and then going into your commute and going to one specific area and then commuting back together as well. So again, it's like a carpool, but better. We provide the vehicle at a monthly cost, and that includes insurance, fuel, and maintenance. And the participants basically split the monthly cost equally between each van member. And again, we would be happy to talk to anyone who is interested in moving a little bit forward and what the next steps are, and we can kind of get you guys all started with that. Again, they must be commuting to and from work, at least 4 participants. And we, once you have at least 4 participants, we will meet with you and provide all the policy and payment information that's required on a monthly basis, and you're on your way. Now, you guys that are, again, most of you guys are CARTA riders. So the only other difference is that one of you guys would be driving, as opposed to with CARTA when, again, you sit back and leave the driving to us. One of the biggest questions that we always have is, what if I have to leave work early? And that's one of the questions that I've answered for a lot of you guys, even with using CARTA services. And so the same thing that applies with CARTA services. Let me make sure that that's done. Yeah. Emergency ride home will be available for this program as well. So basically that means if you're in a van pool and you actually have to leave early, you can catch Uber, Lyft, a cab, whatever it may be, and we will reimburse you up to 3 uses per calendar year. So that's a little bit of a help, kind of get you over the hump as far as questions and concerns about if you do need to leave work early. So addressing COVID, again, we've reduced the max number of riders in half. We're working on a potential installation of additional air filtration systems to help improve the ventilation and make sure that we're getting fresh air in there. And masks are still required at all times while riding, because this is still a transportation vehicle. Cost is normally based on the distance and the number of passengers, and details can be provided as the groups are formed. Generally, costs could range from $120 per month and up, and that's for the entire van, as far as like what the total cost would be split up. Right now, we are offering it where it's only $30 per person per month, regardless the number of passengers or distance, as an introductory to the program. And so moving on, what would be next? It would be contacting our mobility coordinator, and the numbers up there. And again, we will also make sure that this is provided and that Christine and Rachel has all of this information as well. You can also contact me directly, and I can make sure you get to the right person as well if it's something that anyone is interested in or curious about. And again, it may be for yourself. I do know that we've been talking to a few folks that have like seminar hours in the cafeteria area. So anybody that you can think of that this may be a benefit for, please share this information as well. And the last thing, and I do not have a slide for this because we're going to go ahead and get ready to get into any questions that you guys may have. I did have one of the passengers or one of the attendees told me earlier that there have been a few issues as far as air on a few of the buses. So we'll be making sure that we get with our maintenance department and check on that. I think that we did get something on social media about that as well. As I was telling her, they do check the buses as they leave, and it just may not be functioning properly if it's never working when it gets to you guys. So one way or another, they've got to figure out what's going on with those. So if you ever have those questions or those concerns and have that come up, please make sure you contact us immediately. Again, I'm not on Yammer at this point in time. I kind of got locked out. I can't get back in, but I'm trying to. But either way, it's better to contact us directly. I know Christine has been fantastic about contacting us directly whenever there are issues. I believe like with bus stops, we had a good bit of trash. I think someone came through the weekend and it dumped a lot of trash at you guys' bus stop that's right over there off of Calhoun. And so she let us know immediately. Things like that, just let us know. You'd have to contact us directly because we don't necessarily have that access to Yammer at this point in time. So I know that's a great way for you guys to actually, conversate and talk to each other and get a lot of information out. But unfortunately, I don't have the ability to do that at this time. So hopefully very soon I might be able to be back on. And I believe that should be pretty much everything that I had. Yeah, that's all the major updates that we had. So we've got a few more minutes. I'd be happy to take any questions on what I have presented, or if you have any other questions or concerns. And I think that we've got a few questions in the chat. Rachel, let's see.
Yeah, I can facilitate that for you. Thank you so much for presenting today. Very interesting updates. So I think the first question was, is there a similar service for low-income patients who may not have access to transportation otherwise?
At this time, that is the what we can offer. I will say that, again, we subsidize the major portion of it. So, for example, I've had some folks at the Canterbury House that's right there in the downtown area that had some regular appointments at MUSC, and when they were taking Uber, I believe they said their cost was between $10 and $12. Excuse me. So essentially, they would only be paying $4, and we would pay the rest of it. So I wish that there was something else where we could make it zero at this point for some folks, but unfortunately, that's the most subsidy that we can do. And we can do that up to $25. So if you have someone, say, at the very corner end of James Island, and they're trying to go all the way up to North Charleston to Trident Hospital or somebody, a medical facility further up at the end, it could cost $30 or so. And so again, they would still only pay about $4, and then we would pay the rest. If it's a $25 trip, then we would be paying that remainder of it. So that's probably the best that we can do for that as far as with the Uber service.
Gotcha. And then Sydney had another question. She asks, what do you see as ways to increase or invite or make public transportation more accessible as we attempt to reduce emissions and make Charleston a more resilient community?
Sure. Absolutely. Great question. A lot of the programs that we are currently doing are aimed at just doing that. We know that we've had a change of perception in public transit in Charleston in particular, and in our region, where it has become a way of transportation and not seen as just something that's provided for a group or class of folks. And so continuing to engage with the community, continuing to provide information, continuing to improve services are huge things. Continuing to get people just to try the service and see how it works for them. And again, using it smarter when they can. Quite often, one of the first things that I'm met with if I'm talking in general public or any events or expos is, well, I don't need to use that. I've got a car. And so my explanation to them or my response to that is, again, I do as well. But any chance that I have, I use public transportation whenever possible when it's smart. And when it works for me. So it's not necessarily about saying that I can only do this or I can only do that, but letting them know what ways this could work in your transportation mix, whether it is commuting or whatever the case may be. I know a lot of folks at MUSC, one of the reasons why our express ridership grew so much is because a lot of folks were already having to park off-site anyway and take a bus in. And so it was just made sense. Why don't I leave my car further home and jump on an express bus? And that'll be better for the environment. It's less gas and wear and tear on my car. So just bringing those things to light and again, improving the service and increasing the frequency in which we have service. And so we are currently doing everything that we can within our resources, but we've got a great team in the COG, BCD COG managers, CARTA and Tri-County Link, which is the rural public transportation provider. And so we're always looking for grants and opportunities to get more resources in order to improve services. Low Country Rapid Transit, when that is actually fulfilled and is running, will be a huge bump and improvement and growth for people using public transportation in our community. So we're really looking forward to that as well.
Yes, can't wait for that. Great question, Sydney. Yeah, and maybe people know this already, but you can ride any CARTA bus for free with your MUSC ID. I just moved back here a week ago, and I've been making use of that with my bed.
Absolutely, and even touching a little bit more on that. Again, when I'm talking to those folks, I'm like, if you have family coming in town, if you are visiting downtown, live in a downtown area, or just going down there, again, park your car one time, hop on our dash shuttles. I mean, everybody's free on those. So, I mean, again, and letting folks know that. We let all the College of Charleston students know because they ride for free like you guys. All they have to do is show their Cougar ID. So, again, it's just fitting it in when it makes sense. It may not always make sense, but when it does, it's a great opportunity and a great option. And if any of you guys, if you can't think of anything right now, and again, I'm always, you guys know that I'm as available as possible. Again, give me an email, give me a call, let Christine or Rachel know. They absolutely know how to get in touch with us. Or again, directly call and you can ask for Michelle and they'll get you to me as well. I always enjoy talking to you guys because, again, you're riders and you can kind of give us a little bit better insight. But I always want to make sure that you guys are up to date on everything. So, again, later on, if you have any questions or think anything else, even with the safe crossing programs, the bike, the Route 32, or any of our other projects, LCRT, anything like that, we can provide you more information on. I see Nadia has a question.
I was just curious, how did the beach shuttles go this past year?
The beach shuttles went fairly well. We're looking over all of the data, and we did have a good bit of ridership, but I will say that I think that some of the parking issues may not have come to full head that everyone thought it was going to be. And so there wasn't as much of a crush for parking. And so where we could have maybe maxed out some buses, we didn't get to that point. But everyone, at least from everybody that I've spoken to and received comments from, they all truly enjoyed the service. They thought it was a great addition and it was so easy to use. And so we are looking into whether we will be continuing to do it next year, because we do. And the other thing was that for whatever reason this summer, it seemed to rain almost every weekend. And so we'd have like one day that was really good and then Saturday wouldn't be because it rained all weekend, or vice versa. So I think that's just summers in the low country. I've known that all my whole life, so I'm pretty sure that's not going to absolutely stop, but it's still good information for us to know. So it went really well. And so I think Town Center was really happy with it. I know we did get a lot of questions and comments about a beach to Folly, a bus to Folly. And so We've been talking about that for a while, and we are looking into how that could operate. And again, what resources would be available with that shuttle. As I remember, I talked about resources before. It was great because the municipalities actually chipped in and paid for that service, which was really helpful. And so if we can find a way to maybe do that elsewhere, the only caveat that I will say that is folly is that with Isle of Palms, we have a couple of ways that we could come in. And with Folly, unfortunately, it's that one way in, one way out. So we are stuck in traffic a whole lot most of the time when we've tried to do it before. So that's something else that we have to try to figure out. But I'm sure our planners will be able to find a fantastic solution to that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for your question. We do have one more in the chat, I think. Someone's asking if the U-Serve is available in any or all of the Tri-County areas.
It is available in all of the CARTA service areas. So for Uber and U-Serve. Now, U-Serve by itself, I'm not sure, because that's not a program that's promoted here in the area. It's usually really Uber and Lyft. But as far as through us, it can only be through the CARTA service area. But I can always find out. I can look into that, Keisha, and see if I can find out some more information on their services in general. I don't know. I do know with them, they often work with Uber and Lyft sometimes, so they'll facilitate the rides through them. And so basically the person would call them and then they would then transfer them over to Lyft. But that's the only way that I know that they use it like that is when they have reached capacity, like all of their drivers are already out picking up folks. They usually use that as a secondary measure to kind of help pick up. So by themselves, though, let me check on that and I can get back to you on that, Keisha.
Great.
And I believe Daniel linked the information, Daniel Monroe, with our public relations agency with Ron Murray. He put a link in there in the chat where you can find out information on Uber and U-Serve on our website as well.
There's always something new going on.
Yeah. And usually, hopefully, that also means that we're kind of getting to things pretty quickly. As I said, when we do get complaints or concerns, we try to address it very quickly. So hopefully that is what is happening as well. But again, if anything comes up even after this meeting, please let me know. I thank you guys. I want you guys to enjoy the rest of your lunch hour. And again, pass on the information and contact us directly if you need anything. Again, pleasure talking to you guys. I will look so much more forward to seeing you guys face to face and us actually sitting down there and around a table and talking to each other again. So hopefully next time or in the very near future.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming. And thank you so much, Michelle, for all of your insight on this update. Everyone have a great afternoon and we'll see you next month.
Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.